Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Thursday, June 11th, 2015, around 4:58 in the afternoon in Billerica, Massachusetts. It's sunny out, but humid. And the second video blog, I was originally going to do the 24/7 WWE hardcore title role and gimmick around the early 2000s, but that's been postponed to a later date because of a sad thing in the world of professional wrestling that happened today. WWE Hall of Famer Virgil Riley Runnels, also known as the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, passed away at the age of 69 of kidney failure. The American Dream Dusty Rhodes had a great career in the world of sports entertainment. He was one of the most popular, one of the most charismatic wrestlers of all time, a three-time NWA World Champion, plus one of the most influential bookers in the world of professional wrestling. The American Dream Dusty Rhodes was a great talker and stuff, and he was a big attraction like Andre the Giant was in the regional territories in the 1970s and 1980s and stuff. Dusty Rhodes eventually became one of the most powerful people in the world of professional wrestling for booking Jim Crockett Promotions in the mid to late 1980s. He booked the Jim Crockett Promotions basically down to the ground with all of these Dusty finishes. The background on the American Dream Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes entered the world of professional wrestling in 1968, being trained by Joe Blanchard, whose son, Tully Blanchard, became a professional wrestler. Joe was a wrestler and a promoter as well. And Dusty Rhodes, for the first several years, teamed with Dick Murdoch, and they were heels, the Texas Outlaws. They were a great tag team. They wrestled in so many regional territories, including the AWA. They had a legendary feud with Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher, and they sold out a lot of arenas in the AWA territory. Minneapolis, Chicago, Indianapolis, Milwaukee, Madison, all over the AWA territory and stuff. Now, these matches were MAC classics. Then Dusty Rhodes went to Championship Wrestling from Florida. He was originally a heel managed by Playboy Gary Hart, and he was in a stable with Paxson and Dick Slater. But on one fateful night in March of 1974 at the Armory in Tampa Bay, Florida, in a tag team match with Paxson and Dusty Rhodes against Eddie Graham and his son Mike Graham, Dusty Rhodes turned face, and this popped Championship Wrestling from Florida territory from a basic run-of-the-mill regional territory to one of the top regional territories in the country. And the American Dream Dusty Rhodes just skyrocketed with his popularity and stuff. He had legendary feuds in Championship Wrestling from Florida with Paxson, Dirty Dick Slater, Terry Funk, Dory Funk Jr., Harley Race, The Assassin, and others. Dusty Rhodes also went to other regional territories, including the WWF in 1977. He had a long-running feud with the WWF champion, Superstar Billy Graham, over the WWF Championship. They had a lot of classic matches at Madison Square Garden, New York City, Boston Garden, Philadelphia Spectrum, Baltimore Arena. They ran it the loop many times. Feud culminated with a bull rope match. It was amazing and stuff like that. Also, Dusty Rhodes wrestled a lot in Georgia Championship Wrestling. He had a long-running feud with Ole Anderson, which started when Ole Anderson turned on Dusty Rhodes in a steel cage tag team match against the Assassins and stuff. They had a long-running feud with that. Dusty had three-time NWA World title reigns, but he wasn't a long-term NWA champion, even though Eddie Graham pushed for Dusty Rhodes to be a long-time NWA champion, but the politics didn't happen. Eddie Graham was president of the NWA for a brief period. He just pushed and pushed Dusty Rhodes as a long-term NWA champion, but many people on the board of directors of the NWA refused it, including Jim Crockett Jr. and Vince McMahon Sr., because they thought Dusty Rhodes was more of an attraction. Plus, McMahon Sr. and Jim Crockett Jr. really wanted Nature Boy Ric Flair as NWA World Champion after, like, Harley Race, was getting old and stuff like that. But Dusty's reigns as NWA World Champion were brief, but they were memorable and stuff. Dusty continued to wrestle in Championship Wrestling from Florida into the early 80s. He continued with his feuds. He feuded with Big John Studd, Bruiser Brody, Kevin Sullivan, Jake the Snake Roberts. There was an infamous match, Christmas night 1982, Loser Leave Championship Wrestling from Florida match between Dusty Rhodes and Kevin Sullivan. Santa Claus came down, but he distracted Dusty Rhodes. Santa Claus with Jake the Snake Roberts. Kevin Sullivan pins the American Dream Dusty Rhodes for 1, 2, 3. Dusty Rhodes has to leave Championship Wrestling from Florida for a while, but the mysterious Midnight Rider, a masked wrestler who looked like Dusty Rhodes and talked like Dusty Rhodes, and he came and he feuded with Kevin Sullivan and his goons, and also he had a title match with Nature Boy Ric Flair in Miami in March of 1983. The Midnight Rider won. He beat Nature Boy Ric Flair 1, 2, 3 to win the NWA World Championship, but he had to unmask backstage because there was a rule that NWA World Champions could not wear masks. And knowing if he unmasked, it would be Dusty Rhodes, and he would have been stripped of the NWA World title, plus he would have been suspended from Championship Wrestling for Florida for life. But he gave back the NWA World Championship and stuff, and then Dusty Rhodes came back and continued to feud with, like, Outlaw Ron Bass and J.J. Dillon Stable in Championship Wrestling from Florida until early 1984. Dusty was starting to do some booking for Championship Wrestling from Florida. Around April of 1984, Jim Crockett Promotions, the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, hired the American Dream Dusty Rhodes as talent and also being on the booking committee. This devastated Championship Wrestling from Florida because the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and Eddie Graham were close friends. Eventually, Eddie Graham passed away, committed suicide because he was backstabbed by Dusty Rhodes. But that's another story for another day. And then when Dusty Rhodes came to Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, he was pushing himself. He was being in a lot of the major angles and stuff, and he was booking. He was on the booking committee. Eventually, he became the head booker of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Dusty Rhodes put himself with Raging Bull Manny Fernandez. They became the NWA World Tag Team Championship champion for about 4 months and stuff. Dusty Rhodes had a long-running feud with Nature Boy Ric Flair over the NWA World title, which lasted 2 years. And Dusty also pushed a lot of great talent, like Magnum TA, To the Moon, Nikita Koloff, and a few others. And also Dusty Rhodes was famous for the Dusty finish. And this is how a Dusty finish is. It is when a babyface wrestles a heel for the heel title, and then they have a great match, about 20 minutes, but then the referee gets knocked out, or knocked out, and then the baby face somehow throws the heel over the top rope. The referee's out, but then the heel comes back in, and then heel beats him up, but somehow the face makes a big comeback, and then beats him up, puts him in a submission hold, or pins them, and second referee comes in. 1, 2, 3. The baby thinks they won the world championship or whatever title it was, but somehow the first referee gets up, disqualifies the baby face wrestler because they got they threw the heel over the top rope, and throwing them over the top rope in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling was an automatic disqualification. So that means the title is the title win is voided, and the heel wins by disqualification and keeps the world championship and gets all the fans who were waiting for the babyface wrestler to get the title pissed off. And this Dusty finish continued for several years. In Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling and Jim Crockett promotion, almost killing the promotion dead. But Dusty still was popular with the fans. Fans continued to cheer Dusty Rhodes and stuff. He feuded with Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, Lex Luger, Four Horsemen and stuff, and Nature Boy Ric Flair, and eventually Dusty Rhodes formed Superpowers with heel turn babyface Nikita Koloff. Dusty Rhodes was NWA World Six-Man Tag Team Champions with the Road Warriors and stuff. Dusty Rhodes won the NWA United States Championship in Starrcade 1987 against Lex Luger in a steel cage match. And Dusty Rhodes was, still at his top of his game in early 1988 until he hit Tully Blanchard with a baseball bat and accidentally hit Jim Crockett with the baseball bat, and then Dusty Rhodes was stripped and suspended from the NWA for 120 days. But the mysterious Midnight Rider came back again, and he only was there for a few months until Dusty Rhodes was reinstated. Then Dusty Rhodes feuded with Barry Windham, who became the United States champion because they stripped Dusty Rhodes of the title, and then Dusty Rhodes wanted to get revenge on Barry Windham. They had a great match at Great American Bash 1988, and for the U.S. title was probably the best match on that card, which I'll review when I do Great American Bash reviews soon. And the referee gets knocked down, and then Ronnie Garvin comes in, taps Dusty Rhodes on the back, punches him, and the fans go crazy for that, and Dusty Rhodes loses to Barry Windham and stuff. Dusty Rhodes and Ronnie Garvin were supposed to have a long-running feud, but Ronnie Garvin got fired by Jim Crockett Promotions and stuff. And then Dusty Rhodes had a power struggle with Nature Boy Ric Flair over the NWA World title, the direction it was going. Dusty Rhodes really wanted Nature Boy Ric Flair to drop it to Lex Luger, but Flair said, "I'm going to drop it to Sting. I'm going to drop it to Sting." No, you're going to drop it to Lex Luger and stuff. But that got to a point where it almost bankrupted Jim Crockett Promotions. Eventually, Jim Crockett Promotions was bought by Turner, and it phased into World Championship Wrestling. When that happened, Dusty Rhodes was fired as Booker, and there was plans. They wanted to turn Dusty Rhodes heel, but Dusty Rhodes says, nobody's gonna believe me as a heel, baby. Nobody will. He turned the Road Warriors heel, and they tried to drive a spike into Dusty's eye, and he was bleeding profusely and stuff, and that incident got Dusty Rhodes fired from WCW and stuff. And then Dusty Rhodes briefly tried to revive Championship Wrestling from Florida under the name Professional Wrestling from Florida in early 1989. Then Dusty Rhodes gets a call from the WWE to come to the WWE, and then he's the common man, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He has like polka dots and stuff. It was a rib and stuff, a crazy gimmick, but he made so much money doing those in polka dots for 18 months. Probably the most money he made in the world of professional wrestling. He was managed by Sapphire, who was actually a driver of wrestlers in the old St. Louis territory, Sweet Sapphire. And Dusty Rhodes had memorable feuds with Macho King Randy Savage and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. But by January of 1991, Dusty Rhodes returned to WCW, was on the booking committee, and he was an announcer for the next several years. Dusty would be on and off WCW doing announcing and booking. A couple of times he was briefly fired, but they brought back the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, as an announcer because the fans still liked him and stuff like that. His big thing he did when he was Booker of WCW in the early 1990s, push his son Dustin Rhodes, the Natural, to the moon. Dustin was pretty good and stuff like that, and he got a big push and stuff. Eventually, Dustin had a falling out with WCW and left WCW to go to WWE and became Goldust. That's a future video blog subject, Goldust. And Dusty's like announcing skills were like clubbering and plunder and stuff, very funny and stuff, even though he was not the greatest announcer. He was such entertaining and stuff. And eventually Dusty and WCW parted ways. Late 1990s, Dusty Rhodes turned heel and joined the NWO with Scott Hall. But, you know, why did they do that? They were turning everybody heel and joining the NWO at that time. That was awful. Then Dusty goes to ECW and stuff and feuds with Mr. Old School Steve Corino. They have a great bull match and stuff. And then Dusty briefly comes back to WCW in the waning days to rekindle a feud with Ric Flair and stuff and help his son Dustin. And when WCW goes under in 2001, Dusty forms his own wrestling company, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, promoting Georgia and Florida area, but that doesn't get off the ground that much. Dusty goes into TNA for a while, booking and being an on-air personality and wrestling and independent for a while. And he wrote a book in 2005, which is a pretty good book. He kind of blasted WWE about his character and stuff. But, you know, by the summer of 2005, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes signed with the WWE a Legends contract, and he's on the booking committee and stuff. And then from time to time, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes makes appearances on screen and stuff. 2006, they have the DVD of the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, and it's a great DVD. It's probably one of the best-selling WWE DVDs of all time. And in 2007, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes is inducted in WWE Hall of Fame, and he still makes appearances until his passing in 2015. His son Dustin's a professional wrestler. His son Cody is a professional wrestler, and it's a sad loss to see the American Dream Dusty Rhodes pass away at the age of 69. He won 3 times most popular wrestler by PWI. He won so many NWA World titles. He won the U.S. title, the TV title in NWA, a few tag team titles and stuff, a lot of championship wrestling from Florida titles and others and stuff. He never held WWE gold. And he didn't need to because he was so over with the fans and stuff like that. And Dusty probably is one of the top 10 professional wrestlers of all time with charisma and talking and stuff. He didn't have the athlete's body. He was overweight, but he still was entertaining. It's a sad day in the world of sports entertainment and professional wrestling. Rest in peace, American Dream Dusty Rhodes. You're up in heaven now, reunited with your sweet Sapphire. And that's about it on him. And I'll be back with the third and final video blog of the night, my personality profile, which will be about NECN meteorologist Nelly Coreno. The 24/7 WWE hardcore title thing will probably be Saturday. Have a good day. Bye now.